Hello everybody, and welcome back to Let's Play Gabriel Knight, the Sins of the Fathers. Last time we met Madame Moonbeam, and she was interesting, but we learned a lot about modern-day voodoo from her. And her snake, well, it had nothing to do with the murders. Oh well. Anyway, there is a...
I'm going out.
See ya.
There's a lecture going on at the university. I'm gonna check that out. Let's see, where is it? That's probably... there we go. Tulane University. In what other Sierra game have we seen Tulane University? Brownie points for answering. I'm pretty sure I already know who's gonna answer that question, but... well, we'll see.
It looks like the lecture is just starting. Gabriel decides to record the session.
Voodoo is the tribal religion of Africa. But the name Voodoo is actually a banner heading under which resides an entire body of distinct tribal belief systems. The word voodoo may sound familiar to you. What is known in the States as voodoo is actually an amalgamation of African religious systems, voodoo, and European religions, primarily Catholicism. All of the subcults of African voodoo have certain things in common. The most important is the worship of a pantheon of spirits instead of the single deity that the Christian and Muslim systems have. Some of these spirits are elementals. Some relate to specific tasks or places. Some represent important tribal leaders who have died. This spirit worship is what makes voodoo so easily adaptable. With all those spirits, it's no problem to add a few more. Say, for example, the Virgin Mary. At the height of tribal Africa, warfare was common. One tribe would conquer another, and the Loa, important in the conqueror's tribal system, would be adopted readily into the conquered tribe's Loa pantheon. In this way, many of the voodoo cults spread and mingled throughout tribal Africa, enriching the belief system and causing innumerable offshoots. The basis for the voodoo religion seems to be as old as man himself. It has much in common with many early pagan practices: animal totems, sympathetic magic, elemental spirits in the trees, the heavens, the bodies of the sick. Africa is believed by many to be the cradle of the human race. Some of the voodoo Loa may be as old as the Garden of Eden itself. We still can't explain some of the real power of these primal religions. And note, I said primal, not primitive. There are African Bokors who baffle our scientists with their supernatural powers. Now, let's discuss the elements of voodoo.
Fascinating guy.
In voodoo, the spirits are called the Loa. During a voodoo ceremony, celebrants are possessed by the Loa. And this is called being ridden. The human worshiper is seen as a horse, and the Loa as the divine horseman. A person being ridden by a Loa takes on the characteristics of that spirit and becomes, in effect, merely a vessel for the more powerful entity. Some of the older, original Africa Loa include Dambala, the great serpent god; Ezruli, the mistress of love; Abanebo, or Gede, the lord of death; Agwe, the spirit of water; Legba, spirit of the crossroads; and the cruelest and most dangerous, Ogun Badagri, the lord of destruction.
Ugh. Oh, I gotta get more sleep at night.
Tribe-specific Loa can have as much or more power as the more widely worshipped Loa. For instance, a particular tribe might revere highly the Loa of an ancestor who was a legendary hunter or politician. Voodoo temples are called Houndfors. Their priests, Hungan or Bokors. Their priestesses, Mama Loa. In a voodoo Houndfor, there's a ritual circle marked by a center pole called a Poto Mita. The ritual circle is prepared with a veve, a pattern of symbols. Each tribe's veve is slightly different, consisting of complex symbols that identify their special role. During ritual conclaves, initiates dance under the supervision of a Bokor and a Mamaloa, or head priestess. The use of totems or animal masks and markings was not uncommon in the original African ceremonies. Now, though, all but the oldest sects have abandoned this practice. Ritual objects used during the conclaves include the ritual gourd or asson, the ritual knife or kubasa.
That knife gives me the chills.
Looks familiar.
The ritual whip or fouet cache.
Wet cash.
And the ritual coffin or seke madule. These items are often optional, called for by the Mamaloa for specific magical rituals. The Mamaloa is the most powerful figure in any Voodoo sect. Voodoo is a truly matriarchal system. Even the Bokor knows his power is limited. Mamaloa is the supreme woman. She butterflies. Fireflies.
Dang it, Gabriel, I need to be paying attention to this.
Firelight. Gabriel?
Huh?
What? I can't see.
Gabriel, get in.
It's too small for me.
You must get in, Gabriel.
It's not mine. Too small.
Hide, Gabriel, hide.
No, no, let me out. Help.
Young man, the lecture is over.
Oh my God.
Okay. Looks like we had ourselves another bad dream, but there was a voice calling out to us. Anyway, let's take a look at this fouet cache. Remember, he was talking about that? It says bring fouet cache, that is the whip. Interesting. There was also another word, that the word for that coffin. I can't remember what exactly it was, but yeah. So that was an interesting lecture. I
There's a
enjoyed it.
PA speaker on the wall. A projection screen dominates the front of the hall. The podium. Partridge's throne.
As far as I know, we never really have interesting conferences at my school, at my university.
There's a door on one side of the stage. Gabriel scans the bulletin board. Greek night at the Alpha Psi Omega frat house. It looks like it took place sometime last spring.
Somebody needs to take that down then.
Gabriel, there's a notice for a lecture on investigative reporting techniques to be given by octogenarian Pulitzer Prize winner Laura Bo Dorian. Unfortunately, it's weeks away. By that time, Gabriel will have to have learned on his own.
Now that is pretty awesome. So, I guess I'll just, I just already answered the question of where Tulane University is mentioned. It is at the very beginning of the Colonel's Bequest, the first Laura Bow adventure. And then, of course, we have the Dagger of Amun-Ra. And her name was, we get to see it, Laura Bow Dorian. So we do get some closure on Laura Bow's story. She married Steve Dorian, and she's a Pulitzer Prize winning investigative reporter person. So that is pretty awesome. I love that little touch they put there.
Gabriel scans. Need a ride to LA the last weekend in August.
I wouldn't go there if you paid me.
Gabriel, work out of your home and make up to $2,000 a week in your spare time. Call 555-6789.
I actually called them once. You sell cat food over the phone.
That sounds lucrative.
Gabriel Ha! We'll do algebra or biology homework for food. Gabriel, jazz jam session every Tuesday at 7 in the music building. Gabriel haircuts for $10 a hair. Perms for $20 at the Tulip.
Like I'd let an amateur touch these locks.
Gabriel, Greek.
Okay. That's enough of that. So there's an interesting lecture. Let's see, let's go back to the French Quarter. I believe Mosley had someone he was interrogating and wanted us to be there. So let us go. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Just head right on in.
You son of... Give me back my badge. Now, Knight!
Sure. Thanks for letting me borrow it.
Yeah? Well, you borrow it again in your history. Now, about today. Glad you made it. It'll give you a feel for how I am in action. You know, handling suspects, that sort of thing.
I'm sure it'll be invigorating. Who is this guy, anyway?
Calls himself Crash. He's been an informant for us before, mostly helping us bust small-time pimps and dealers trying to break into the territory. Well, he's been staying invisible during these murders, but we picked him up this morning to Jackson Square. Pushing code?
Uh-oh.
You know something. Call it detective's instinct.
Detective's instinct. Got it.
All right, Crash. I want to hear about these murders. You been present at the so-called voodoo ritual?
I don't know nothing. I told you.
Come on now, you can tell me. Do you know anyone who's been to these rituals?
Look, I can't say nothing. You gotta let me go, man.
Now, you relax. No one knows you're here. The men who picked you up were plainclothesmen.
Plain clothes, like you could fool them. They know I'm here. They've got ears all over the city. They know everything.
Now, who are they, Crash? Are they the ones doing the murder?
Let me go.
If you're so worried about being detained, start talking. Now, you tell me what I want to hear, and maybe I can get you in the witness protection program. But you have to earn it.
Witness protection? Are you crazy? Don't make me laugh. Jesus, just let me out of here.
Now, come on. Who's behind these murders, Crash? Why are the victims all members of the underworld?
By now they know I'm here. It's different when I'm supposed to come here. Well, if I can send a message. Tell them I didn't say nothing.
Christ, he's freaking useless. Take him back to detain him, would you, Tony? I tell you, times like this, I'd kill for truth serum. Damn the civil rights.
Can I quote you on that?
Huh? Hell no. Damn. We only keep him for 24 hours. Tomorrow morning, I might have to let him go. Sorry it wasn't more exciting. For the book, I mean. Maybe you can punch it up some. You know, what do they call that? Fiction. That's it.
It certainly is. I'll see what I can do.
Oh. Anyway, there's well, I guess we can ask him some more things that we haven't asked him
Can I ask
before.
you,
Because I don't think we've asked him about
do you have any idea what capital?
Hell no. Is that French? My mother.
True
Maybe
enough.
we did ask him about that. Marie
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
Is she that redheaded chick that works at Freddy's?
No.
Then I don't know her.
Ooh, Veve is a new option.
Do you know anything about Veves?
What?
Veves. They're ritualistic patterns used in voodoo. You know, like those marks we found around the body.
Yeah.
You know what the department says about that, Knight. that voodoo stuff is faked.
Yeah, well, they're wrong. These bebes...
Look, just stop worrying about them marks. I don't think they're relevant.
Alright. Anything else? Animal mask, I think that's the last
Do
one.
you know any...
Animal masks? You mean like those Halloween masks they sometimes use in robberies?
I don't think so. More like real animals.
Never ran across anything like that.
Alright. Alright, let me check something real quick. Okay, I remember now. I was trying to
The
remember...
suit.
Oh, the suit doesn't open. There's something we want to do today.
I'm gonna hit the...
Ciao, baby.
Ciao, baby, really? Remember, we should be able to get that completed pattern from the artist today. So let's go to Jackson Square. And he should be up there, hopefully. And Gabriel can just walk really slow. It wasn't slow as he was walking before, at least. I changed that much. Sup, Mr. Artiste?
How's it going today?
What? Oh, it's only you. Man, I have been jumpy all day. That pattern of yours really freaked me out for some reason. There's just something creepy.
You finished it?
Yeah, and you're welcome to it. Here.
Wow, this is great.
Uh-huh. Just don't, like, blow up the planet with it or something, okay?
I didn't mean to upset you.
Ah, forget it. I'm probably just being stupid. Do your thing with it, and good luck.
I like this guy. He seems nice. Alright, so we have that pattern. That's most likely a bebe, or bebe. Well, that professor seemed to know a lot about voodoo. He also seemed to be the only person that we ever talked to that knew anything about bebes. I wonder if he can give us some more enlightenment on our specific case. So we can go actually into this back door. And there he is.
Are you a student? No. My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Well, you have walked into my private office, Mr. Knight. I hope you have something worthwhile to do here. If you figure it out, let me know.
Meanwhile, you can just stand there while I write stuff. Let's take a look around the room.
The carved stone head looks African and very old.
He's got some cool stuff in his
The
office.
squatter grins maliciously at Gabriel.
But the back area of oh, what are these things called? Presentation room, whatever. This seems like a weird place to have your office.
It's an enormous stone head. Exotic fish lend even more color to the cluttered office. Dr. Hartridge's office is crowded with masks, carved figures, and strange objects.
Strange indeed. Lots of stuff to look at, but not gonna look at
Dr.
everything.
Hartridge is sharp-eyed and even sharper tongued. When he condescends to look at Gabriel at all, it's with a dismissive glare.
Well, he's a busy man, and Gabriel isn't even a student. And Gabriel did just kind of barge in.
Your lecture was terrific.
Oh, you think so? You were snoring so loud I didn't think you'd heard it.
Mind if I pick your brain?
Not if it will get you out of my office.
Alright, so there's the professor. Kind of looks like Stephen Hawking before, you know.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
You already sat through my lecture on the subject, Mr. Knight. Perhaps next time you could stay awake and learn something.
Well, we did learn a bit.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
I've read about them in the papers. I must admit to some interest. But according to the newspapers, the voodoo aspect is faked, so I haven't really pursued it. You know how Americans, especially Hollywood, treats voodoo. I'm sure there are many so-called practitioners out there that have No idea what they're doing or the power they're playing with.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
I find it interesting to see the occasional fragment of voodoo practices in the everyday culture of New Orleans.
Pretty interesting stuff.
Do you know anything about snakes?
I'm not a zoologist, Mr. Knights, but I know all I care to about reptiles.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's June 23rd, the feast day of St. John the Baptist. But June 23rd has been a sacred day since the earliest times. Ancient sun worshippers used to roll a flaming wheel down a hill to celebrate the sun's descent on that day.
That's cool.
A burning wheel. Huh.
Anything
What
else?
can you tell me?
I'm not in the habit of...
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Do you have any idea what Cabri-Sans-Coeur means?
Cabri-Sans-Coeur. Yes, I do. It's a Haitian term.
Finally.
It's French, and literally translates as goat without horns.
As in a female goat?
No, as in a human sacrifice. Sacrifices in Voodoo are usually of the animal variety. Chickens, bulls, goats. If the gods demand a goat without horns, it means a human being.
So remember that guy in the voodoo shop when we mentioned the voodoo murders, and also if you show him the murder photo of the voodoo murders, that's what he whispers under his breath. Cabri-Sans-Coeur. So perhaps these are human sacrifices.
What was that translation for?
I'm not in the habit...
Alright. So goat without horns. Like I said, you could have translated that yourself earlier, but it wouldn't have made much sense still.
Do you know anything about Marie Laveau?
While I find the colloquial bastardizations of Voodoo somewhat interesting from a sheerly intellectual point of view, there's not a lot of relation between people like Laveau and true Voodoo practices.
So there's a lot of dichotomy between the old voodoo that was practiced in Africa, and before that even, and new voodoo practiced here in New Orleans. But are they so separate, really?
Do you know anything about animal masks?
As I said in my lecture, which I assume you actually listened to, is that animal masks, totems, are used extensively in most African Voodoo religions.
Okay.
Tell me about bebés.
If you'd taken notes during my lecture, you wouldn't have to ask.
We actually have recorded it.
Have you ever heard of a Schottenjäger?
I'm afraid I can't help you there, Mr. Knight.
I thought you were supposed to be smart. Come on.
Tell me about yourself.
All right, Mr. Knight, I'm 35, a fully tenured professor at this university, as well as
Jesus,
a
impressive.
fellow at Cambridge. My doctorate was obtained at Syracuse. Yes, Syracuse, in religious studies. I'm an agnostic, but I find human belief systems fascinating. I specialize in African religions because I grew up there. My father was a Protestant missionary. And I am heterosexual, when I practice sex at all, which isn't very often. Any other questions?
No.
Okay,
Fine.
you see, you took it just far enough, and then you just had to go a step further and go to something we didn't want. Alright.
Tell me more about human sacrifice.
It's very rare. Most Voodoo practices do not include human sacrifice as a matter of record, but it is theoretically possible if that's the gods demand. For example, one of the chants I had translated for me from a Haitian ritual went like this. Mistress Azuli, come and aid us. If a cock is demanded, we will give it.
It's a rooster.
If a bull will suffice, behold it. But if a goat without horns is required for sacrifice, oh, where will we find one? Azuli is the gentlest of Loa, so they call on her for mercy. But I have seen grown and powerful Houngan tremble before a possession by one of the more violent Loa, such as Akanita. Clearly, they are afraid that something of the sort will be ordered, or that the Loa will simply take it for themselves.
Alright, so luckily he didn't talk too much to us. But there is one more thing. We have a Veve of our own, and perhaps he knows something about it. Let's take a look at it ourselves. That's the completed Veve. and
The
can't really make heads or
artist's
tails of it.
reconstruction of the Voodoo murders pattern looks accurate to Gabriel. Something about it seems vaguely familiar and creepy.
Could that be? Well, let's give it to Mr. Professor.
Can you tell me anything about this pattern?
Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. Mind if I copy this?
Be my guest.
Great. I'll be right back.
Doop-a-doop-a-doo.
Here you go. You know, this is a fascinating Veve. You must tell me all about its origin.
Actually, I was hoping you'd tell me. Can you figure out anything about it from the symbols?
Well, some. That's why I wanted a copy. I want to research the design myself. Each of these symbols in the Veve represents something. A loa, a place. Where did you get this?
Have you heard of the Voodoo murders?
No, you're kidding. Really? Then the Voodoo is authentic. The newspapers are wrong. Boy, are they wrong.
You think this Veve is authentic, then?
Authentic? Mr. Knight, that's like asking if the Mona Lisa is a painting. Tell you what, I'll look into these symbols myself and see what I can learn about the sect that made this. I'll give you a call when I have more information. You are associated with the police, aren't you?
Sure, why not?
Absolutely. But I'm, undercover. You can contact me at the St. George's bookshop in the quarter.
All right. Now, I'd like to get started on this if you don't mind.
Alright. So, we are definitely making some headway into this whole Voodoo murders case. You're going pretty far for just wanting to write a book, Gabriel, but I guess, you know, there will be... the more detailed, the better. So, what else is there to do on day 3? What else can we discover about the Voodoo murders? Well, let's find out next time on Let's Play Gabriel Knight, The Sins of the Fathers. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.